My Lords, I rise to speak to Amendment 68, which appears in my name, and I think we've already had an interesting debate essentially about the operational independence of the bank. And looking around the chamber, I can see I think there are two other noble lords here who've also been in the schools bill, which we're debating in parallel to this. And I was rather struck with a similarity between the two in that a great deal of debate there has focused on, but what would happen if you'd given these powers to a government and then a government whose hue you didn't like came in and got to exercise them? And so when I was thinking about that, I was thinking, well, what if we had a Green government? Would I want operational independence for the UK Infrastructure Bank or not? But I think that if we, in your Lordship's House, manage to get the objectives right, and indeed as we later get to the composition of the board, then I do believe that we should have operational independence for the UK Infrastructure Bank, because democratic control is the issue here. And as the noble Lord Thomas just said, this is a public bank, and so any steps being taken by the government in directing it should be subject to full parliamentary scrutiny of a kind somewhat broader and more detailed than the noble lady the Minister referred to earlier. Which brings me to my amendment 68, and I think in responding to some of the earlier debates, the noble lady the Minister in a way made a point for me, because this, as the first amendment in this group refers to, this bank has a double bottom line, and its responsibilities indeed are to social justice and the climate emergency. Indeed, I might like to be, under a Green government, rename it as the Just Transition Bank, because that is essentially what it is set out to be trying to do. But what does the Treasury, if it is the ministry in control of this bank, what does it know about climate or nature or poverty or inequality or regional disparity? The very nature of the Treasury is that it is focused on money and what's called the economy as this mysterious thing outside human existence. What do they know about farming or health, despite the fact that they have a dictatorship over the action of all of the departments that cover that? So my original plan was actually to take the bank, as I alluded to in second reading, take the bank out of the Treasury's hands entirely and put it in the hands of the departments that actually know about the things that it's supposed to be trying to do. However, the Bill Office, and I thank them for their patience and assistance in this, told me that this was technically, practically impossible, and the phrase "a Green government wouldn't start here" did cross my lips. But they came up with this alternative amendment, which is Amendment 68, which is ensuring that the Treasury actually fully consults with DEFRA. And I will admit there's something of a Freudian slip, I'm afraid, and I have to apologise to your Lordship's House for the error in this amendment, because B says the Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change. That should, of course, be Bayes, although the fact of whether we should actually have a department entirely dedicated to tackling the climate emergency is another question to raise in another day, but also the Secretary of State for Levelling Up Housing and Communities. So,
can I say to the noble lady, I support her amendment for that very reason. We should have a Department of Energy and Climate Change.
I thank the noble lord for his support for my somewhat unintended amendment. But we come back to, what is this bank for? What is the economy for? The bank is supposed to be there to serve the people of this land, and the departments that are focused on those people, on the climate emergency this bank is serving, surely should have an explicit statutory role in oversight, rather than the very narrow, and I'm sure I can't count the number of times, and I haven't been in your Lordship's House that long, the number of times I've seen a minister stand at the dispatch box and say in response to a question, well, I'd love to do that, but the Treasury roll eyes. That's the way the country is being run, and it needs to change, and this could be a small way to step in that direction.